My name is Wanjira Longhour, aka One Love.
Edgar the Liberator.
My name is Eric Latif.
If you know any of these three media personalities, then chances are it is because you have not only heard them on radio, but because you have seen them. At Capital FM, now based at Two Rivers Mall in Nairobi, Wanjira broadcasts from a studio with a glass wall that allows people in the mall to see her live in action.
4 minutes at the top of the hour.
Eric is now on Fixing the Nation, a show on Nation FM that is also broadcast live on NTV, while every show at Ghetto Radio is streamed live on the internet.
Each one must reach one.
When radio transmissions began in Kenya in 1927 with the East African Broadcasting Corporation, the main use of the platform was to inform people, specifically the white settlers. Over the years, radio has been considered the most effective mass media.
Radio is the voice of the communities. Radio is the tool that can liberate the people if used responsibly.
Radio is still an extraordinarily effective tool in most of the world for providing information to people. And in addition to information, entertainment. It's theater of the mind. You must be extraordinarily illustrative with your words. You have to paint pictures for people. You're communicating verbally.
With the new emerging forms of media, radio remains relevant.
So there is radio as a medium, and there is radio as, just breaking it down just roughly, as audio communication. People still use that because it's still more widely accessible and it's cheaper. You buy a radio set once, you don't pay every time you switch on your radio. The only thing you're doing is you're powering it. So either you have batteries or you're connecting to power grid, and that's it. The other forms of communication that have come, you have to spend per second that you are consuming, whether you're using data, So it's cheaper to just go with radio. And I think that's why radio is still a popular medium.
So I think that's the beauty of radio and why you'll still get a lot of people listening. Whether it's for live news or live entertainment, it's live.
Almost a century later, we can see the voice. Ghetto Radio was the first station in the country to introduce a visual component to radio. The move to audiovisual was to achieve a couple of things, but the most imminent one was reach.
You see, like here, the license that we have even now, people cannot listen beyond Naivasha, there. But if right now we have a channel in one of the subscribers. If you go to Pang TV, you listen to Ghetto Radio even when you're in Mombasa. You see, that's also another channel. This decoder broadcast. If you go to Mombasa, you go to Kisumu, you go to any other place, you listen.
Previously, yes, you're thinking about sending radio signals to the farthest possible consumer. And if you wanted to add visual, then there's the difficulty of combining those two, and that becomes TV, and that also becomes expensive to transmit, expensive for people to buy the TV set, and it was cheaper for people to do radio. Now, people are doing the same thing, but now because you have, for example, the onset of internet and the availability of internet and increasing availability of internet, people still want to listen, but it's possible for you to add visuals onto it. So I think that's how come radio is still radio, but people are consuming, they want to see who is talking, and they want to create that imagery that someone is giving you, and you want to see as the person is talking.
The digital wave has also highly impacted radio moving to visual.
People have options. As things grow with digitization, you get more options for things. So people can also listen to other stuff, and they can listen at their leisure. That's a way in which I've seen radio change and grow. How you get your content is constantly changing, and radio is content. It should be no different that you aren't just going to get radio from a box, because now there are computers. Your phone is a computer that you have on you 24/7 that we are constantly attached to. If television has changed, why shouldn't radio?
The fact that now you're able to stream it means that you don't have to rely on the physical linear transmitters for radio. It means that you can then send your signals beyond where your transmitters can reach. As long as there's an internet connection, people can then be able to consume. So that means that you have wider reach. That's impact number one. Impact number two, it means that you are communicating now to a more engaged audience because they can hear and they can comment immediately, they can give you feedback immediately using the same digital platforms.
This whole transformation begs the question, will radio die?
Radio will be there forever, and they'll still listen to radio because radio is very authentic.
Radio hasn't died yet, and radio still has a ways to go, traditional radio, before it's offed. But I think every empire falls. Not I think, actually history has proven as much. So I think we're seeing the end of an empire. And now, traditional radio is already dead. But in its death gave birth to modern radio. And modern radio is where you will find your cameras and your microphones that, everything's gotta look a certain way and has to have a feel, and studios gotta be cuter, and et cetera, I think it's even changed a lot of times what your radio host will look like.
My view again is not on radio as the handheld device. That handheld device will become obsolete over time. But the concept of communicating through audio, the concept of just talking to people that you cannot see and creating imagery that they follow, and they follow that story. People just listening to the radio and they can hear a presenter laughing and they can laugh with them. They can hear a presenter describing something and they can actually visualize it. That one is staying. Now, beyond that, because now it's becoming audiovisual, it even becomes even better to engage because you can see that presenter or that radio personality's facial expression. You can see their emotion, you can feel the emotion. When they're creating this image for you, you can feel it.
Let's free our minds, let's free our people. Shukran sana, wazito wote, mashatarez na maarira dem kwa keep it locked to Ghetto Radio, iwabambe.